Greetings dear friends, Dragon here once again. If it's your first time stumbling onto the channel, then do please consider clicking that red button and subscribing. Part new arrival video and also part buyer's guide for finding secondhand Shaw Brothers releases, because inside here I've just picked up the IVL release out of Hong Kong of Lau Kar Leung's incredible 36 chamber of Shaolin Trilogy. This is all 3 movies on Blu-ray. All remastered by Celestial Pictures, but rare for some of the Hong Kong releases. Comes with an English dub, as well as Mandarin and Cantonese, as well as English subs, and region free. So a very, very accessible box set, and there are a lot of these about to hit the market. The fact that these 3 movies are on the Shawscope Volume 2 box set means that the second-hand market is going to be pretty flooded, with a lot of people selling not just these films but all the films that will be included on the box set. And I have heard a few grumblings here and there on a few forums and comment sections when Arrow post of people bemoaning the fact that they just wanted to track these movies down on Blu-ray. There's absolutely no reason why you can't pick up this box set pretty cheaply. I got this for 20 quid. Go back 6 months and this would have been 60 or 80 quid, and people really chanced their arm for prices when things are considered out of print or no longer easily available. But there are some good places to check, and that's what we're going to cover in this video. First off though, let's take a little look at this box set. So we get a nice full outer rigid slip, and then inside we have a digipack with all 3 of the movies, like I say, all with dual language, actually triple language, Mandarin, Cantonese and English. We get a postcard for each release. So we get Return to the 36 Chamber, 36 Chamber and Disciples of the 36 Chamber. These are just single-sided postcards, but with the Celestial logo at the bottom. And the movies themselves all remastered by Celestial. So the remasters that are on the Arrow Shawscope set are not these same versions. So in due course, part of the reason for me wanting to pick this up is I will do a comparison between the versions that are on this set, because it's a brand new 4K restoration of the first 36 chamber movie, and then 2K restorations of Return and Disciples on the Arrow set. I'm intrigued to see how they hold up to these. I think the versions that are on here might be upscales from their old DVD remasters, but I will check, because I still have my copy of the first movie, the IVL Hong Kong release. Both of these releases from Hong Kong. No English language option on this, but again, a huge amount of these and the 2 sequels are flooding the second-hand market just now, because a lot of people are just going to upgrade to the Arrow set. So there's never kind of really been a better time to try and track these movies down second-hand. There are still some people who will ask ridiculous amounts of money for them. Realistically, I wouldn't be paying much more than kind of maybe 10 to maybe £15 at the very most for an individual release, but you should be able to get an awful lot of them a lot cheaper. And when I say 10 to 15, that's really for a kind of big, very popular release that a lot of people will be going after. If it's a lesser known Shaw's title, I certainly wouldn't be considering paying that sort of money. Just to give you an idea, so there are a couple of different options for the Celestial remasters. This is a Taiwanese version. The ones that you see with the gold band at the top and the gold spines are from Taiwan, and they still have the same remastered versions that you'll find in the Hong Kong releases. They usually don't have English text on the back, which you will always find on any Hong Kong release from this era, but they are still English friendly, so you do have English subs on these discs. This is my Young Auntie. Again, there's going to be a whole bunch of these coming onto the second-hand market now that this is also on the Volume 2 box set. But these releases, when you buy them new in Hong Kong, are generally about 70 to 80 Hong Kong dollars each, which in UK currency is about £7 or £8, maybe $10, but most of the stores where we picked them up from had a deal where you would get 2 for $100, so basically about £5 each. So if you're going after the Delta Mac releases, the gold spine and the gold bar releases, I would pay lower. I wouldn't be kind of paying as high as you would for the IVL releases, because they're not quite as resellable. Their quality, like I say, absolutely identical in terms of the transfers that are on here, and there's a pretty good selection of these. Not quite as many as IVL put out in Hong Kong. I think they did about 555, if memory serves me right, Shaw Brothers releases in the kind of first wave. So there's about 600 titles if you include VCDs that Celestial remastered back in the early noughties. The other option are Zoke releases. These are region 6. I think these also actually came out of Taiwan, but slightly kind of different distributor. So a few different titles than the ones that you'll see from Delta Mac. They generally always come with a slipcase. These are sometimes considered a little bit more desirable by collectors. Make sure that you always have the little wee kind of holographic seal on there, because once you get into Taiwan, and certainly once you get into Thailand, there's a lot more bootlegs of these around. Now, you can usually hope that they've taken a good kind of DVD rip from one of the original sources, but that's not always the case. So I generally stay away from the kind of the Thai releases for the most part. But the Zoke ones are pretty good. Again, there's a lot less of these than there are of the Deltamax, and usually, again, maybe £10 to £15 would be an acceptable price if you're seeing them second hand. So Deltamax will probably be your cheapest, and then comparable prices between the Zoke releases and the IVL releases. I will leave links down below to a few different sources that you can use for finding these secondhand. Obviously, eBay is everybody's first go-to for most secondhand things, but don't be afraid to jump onto the forums. The wonderful Kung Fu Fandom forum is a really good place to start. There's a great seller on there who lives in France, who calls herself Shaolin on the forum. I've had many things from her in the past. She's very reliable, very fair with prices. If you're buying a few bits and pieces, she will do you a deal, and she normally always has a good selection and is very clear about which version she's selling, whether it's Deltamax, whether it's IVL, or whether it's Zoke. And you can also still find quite a few of the IVL releases brand new. Triple D House still has a few of the DVDs in stock, still selling for largely about the same sort of price. So I think usually he's about 80 to 100 Hong Kong dollars. There's a price converter on his website. I'll leave a link down to his site below, but it's really pretty good. And if there's a title that he doesn't have listed, it's always worth shooting him an email and seeing if he can actually track it down for you. He's done that for me on multiple titles in the past. This also applies if you're going outside of the realm of DVDs, so if you kind of want to try and find collectibles. This is a Japanese kind of promotional flyer, or promotional kind of booklet, I guess, for the 36 chamber. Again, it was a second-hand pickup and about £10. You will see these things going for a huge amount of money, but they were mass-produced items. They were sent to a lot of cinemas. If you can find them in good condition, pay what you think it's worth, but certainly I wouldn't be going too high. I think, like I say, that one was £10 including shipping. And then I did mention Angela on the Kung Fu Fandom forum. She recently sorted me out with a set of extremely large lobby cards from Germany for Return to the 36 Chamber, which are, again, quite easily accessible. And I think these were a little bit more because it's a slightly rarer item, but they are still out there. So I think for those type of collectibles, you're probably going to have more joy going onto the forums than you will on eBay. They don't come up that often on eBay. And lastly, bringing us around to the other options for new titles, although there are the Arrow releases, and obviously everybody knows about the 88 Films ones, they're both becoming quite expensive now that more and more people have jumped onto the 88 and the Arrow bandwagon, particularly in relation to Shaw's. But still, the Koch Media releases out of Germany seem to be largely overlooked. They don't have English dubs on them, but they do have English subs. So they usually have German audio as well as the original Chinese audio. They have a pretty good collection of titles. So a lot of the ones that are on the Shawscope box sets and the 88 releases haven't been released in Germany, but there are a whole bunch of other titles which haven't seen the light of day in the UK. So you can find things like the Shaolin Daredevils, aka the Daredevils, starring the Venom Mob, for about £5 on German Amazon if you time it right. And this is Lion v Lion with Wang Lung Wei and Wong Yu. And again, same sort of price, slightly different spines. The ones with the kind of multicoloured spines, this is Koch Media. The ones that you'll see with a sort of leather effect spine with gold text are normally WVG, but they both use the same Celestial remasters. Quality is generally very, very good, and these are very cheap. So you can usually find these via German Amazon. I'll leave a link down to that below. They quite often do deals. I think recently I had done a wee community post about the fact they were doing 6 Blu-rays for €30. So you could basically get them for about €5 each at that point, which is a great deal. And they have a pretty good selection of titles available, and ones that you won't see coming out at the moment, certainly on the Blu-ray releases that are happening in the UK. So that's pretty much it. I think if anybody wants more information about this, ask comments in the section below, and I'll try my best to answer them. And to sort of point you in any other directions that I can think of, look for the links underneath. But all the places that I've cited, so Triple D House, the Kung Fu Fandom forum, and eBay, I've had pretty positive experiences on. And this sort of stuff is still out there, and it's a relatively niche market, so you can still pick these things up quite cost effectively. Don't pay through the roof. I do see occasionally people asking just insane money for the IVL DVDs, like £300-400 for a single movie. Don't pay that. There's absolutely no point. I think if you just be patient, set the sort of price that you'd be willing to pay, and just hold fire, because more often than not, a lot of the movies that were considered incredibly rare are now starting to see new releases on the likes of these Shawscope box sets and through 88. So I think if it's a price that you're not willing to pay, just don't pay it, and certainly don't pay hundreds of pounds for a single movie. There's absolutely no point in the current climate, because we're seeing more and more of these ones being picked up and remastered on Blu-ray properly. But yeah, that's it. Thank you again very much for watching this. I will see you on the next one. Take care.